Hello and welcome. We spend all day clicking, tapping, and typing on our screens, but have you ever stopped to think about what's actually going on when you do? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that simple little click. Let's get into it. I mean, it seems instantaneous, doesn't it? You click an icon, and boom, an app opens. But in that tiny fraction of a second, there's this incredibly complex, lightning-fast conversation happening between you and your computer. So, what are you two actually talking about?
So it all begins with something called the user interface. And you can think of it just like this. It's the bridge that connects what you want to do in your head with what the computer actually does in its circuits.
Yeah, a channel is a really good way to put it. The UI isn't just the pretty buttons and menus you see. It's the entire system that lets you give orders and see the results. It's kind of the shared language that lets us talk to our machines and, just as importantly, how they talk back to us. And a UI is really, really good when you barely even notice it's there. The best ones are totally intuitive, so you just know what to do. They're efficient, letting you get stuff done fast. And they're user-friendly, which basically means the whole experience just feels good. All right, so we've got our bridge. Now, let's peel back the layers and see what it's actually made of. We're about to pop the hood and look at the engine room that makes the user interface tick. Turns out, this UI layer, the thing sitting right between the app you're using and the computer's core brain, is mostly run by two key players. These things called APIs and something called a window manager. They're like the translators and the traffic cops of your screen. Okay, an API sounds super technical, but here's a great way to think about it. Imagine you're at a restaurant. You don't just walk into the kitchen and start making your own food, right? No, you talk to a waiter. The API is your waiter. It takes your order, your request from the app, goes to the kitchen, the operating system, and brings back exactly what you asked for. It's that vital middleman. So if the API is the waiter, then the window manager is kind of like the restaurant's interior designer and host all in one. It decides how everything looks, where the windows go when they open, how they get bigger or smaller, how they line up. It's the part that keeps your digital workspace from being a total mess. And this really shows you why those two things are such a huge deal. Back in the day, we had the command line. It was all text. You had to memorize all these arcane commands just to get the computer to do anything. But now we have the graphical user interface, the GUI, which uses those APIs and window managers to give us the beautiful, intuitive world of icons and windows that we live in today. Okay, so we've got the interface and we've got the parts that run it. But how does the computer understand what you're doing, like, right now? Well, it turns out that every single one of your clicks and keystrokes is a word in a very specific language that your computer is listening to all the time. And here it is. This is the big secret. The whole system works because of something called event-driven programming. Instead of the computer just running down a long list of instructions, it just waits. It waits for something to happen, an event, and then it reacts. This is way more efficient because the computer isn't wasting energy checking on things. It's just listening for a trigger. So let's break down the 3 stars of this show. First, you've got the event source. That's the thing you click on, like a button. Your click on that button creates the event. And then hiding in the code is the event listener. Its entire job in life is to just sit there and wait for that one specific event to happen. And when it does, it springs into action. And the flow is always the same. You, the user, click the button. That's the source. A little digital packet of information, an event object, is instantly created. That packet gets zapped over to the listener that's been waiting for it. The listener opens it up, sees what to do, and runs the code. It's a perfect little chain reaction happening thousands of times a day. Okay, so that brings up a really good question. We keep talking about clicks, but what else is the computer actually listening for? What other kinds of events are out there? Well, the most obvious one, of course, is the mouse event. But this is more than just a simple click. It's also when you press the button down, when you let it go, when you drag something across the screen. Every little movement and action your mouse makes can be its own unique event. And then you've got your key event. This is everything to do with the keyboard. Every single time a key goes down, that's one event. When it comes back up, that's another. It's how your computer knows the difference between typing an A and holding down Shift to type a capital A. But it even goes beyond what you're physically doing. A window event gets created when a window is opened or closed, or even when you just bring it to the front. The system is basically creating its own events to talk to itself, telling other programs what's going on. It's this constant flowing conversation. All right, let's step back and put all of this together.
We've gone from the big picture of the user interface down into the engine room with APIs and into the very language of events. Now, let's tie the start and the finish together. When you boil it all down, it's really this simple. Your action, the click, the swipe, the key press, that's the input. That's what you give to the computer. And the result, the window opening, the character appearing on screen, that's the output. That's what the computer gives back to you. That whole event system we just talked about is the engine that turns your input into output.
And I think this is just the coolest part. Your computer's brain, the processor, isn't just sitting around waiting for orders. It is always listening. It's actively paying attention at unbelievable speeds for any of these events to happen, ready to jump in and serve up exactly what's needed in an instant.
So every single click you make is part of this tiny, structured conversation, and the rules are always the same: a source, an event, and a listener. Now that you know the language our computers speak, what's next? 10 years from now, are we still going to be clicking? Or will the events of the future be our voices, our gestures, maybe even our thoughts? Pretty cool to think about, isn't it? Thanks for diving in with us.